Hi, and welcome to Moonbeam Connections. I'm Jackie Lee. Today on Seriously Universe, Explain Yourself, we're going to look at why do I feel like I'm being watched all the time. So if you feel like, have that funny feeling that somebody's looking at you, but there's nobody there, or, somebody's creeping around, you're just like, I got this odd feeling I'm being watched. This message is for you. Of course, I do set the intention that these messages find those who need them when they need them. It doesn't mean the entire thing is for you. It just might be part of it. So we're going to pull one card and see, why do I feel like I'm being watched all the time? Oh, and there's our one card. So we have the reversed Six of Wands. So this is actually about ego, falling from grace, having disappointment. So when it's upright, it's like having success and getting that recognition for that success, winning, and other people are around. You can see she's up on a horse kind of parading along, and it's like other people are looking at her because she's obtained this victory. And when we have it like this, it means kind of like ego or a fall from grace, being disappointed, not achieving those successful moments, that type of thing. And so why are we being watched? We may be very well being watched or feel like we're being watched because of these disappointing situations, right? Because we need that little bit of support. So it could be that, Spirit sees us suffering or sees us, trying to achieve and not achieving or not getting, it can even be just not getting the recognition we deserve for what we have done. And so that may be like, Spirit may just kind of, be supporting you a little bit more. And that might be why you're feeling, like you're being watched right now. But I will pull out my board and we will see what Spirit has to say. As always, I do write in silence and then dub over it. So sometimes it may sound a little different or may be a little wacky or off, or I can't read my writing and we're having troubles. So I will get into my meditation mode in a second and be quiet, and then I'll start writing. So we're asking Spirit, why do I feel like I'm being watched in relation to this reverse Six of Wands? There are always spirits around watching over you, watching you enjoy life, watching your trouble and how you react. Spirit is always there, but whether or not you feel or notice them can change. You are experiencing the feeling of being watched because the veil is becoming thinner for you. You notice or sense something around you. You may even find at times you can hear something, or you see a shadow or movement. This is you becoming aware, becoming awakened. This is the awakening, what it means to become awakened. To be awakened, you are aware. You see. You notice. You feel. Don't fret over it. Don't change what you do because of it. Just understand that spirit is there enjoying your life alongside you and supporting you in times of trouble. Understand that they only want what's best for you, and there is nothing to fear, nothing to be concerned about. When you feel a presence, say hi. Contemplate. Maybe you can sense who it is. A grandfather, a best friend, a spirit guide. Go within and ask, and you will hear the answer. But you must trust what comes and accept what is. As you do this, you will find clarity and you will find the answers, and you will be at peace with all that is around. Love. So what Spirit is saying here is that spirits are always around you all the time, right? They're always watching over you. So that could be, spirit guides, or it can be, your relatives, your grandparents, your parents, that best friend you have. They're always around you. And so when you get this sense of, I feel like I'm being watched, you kind of are. And it's not something to be scared or creeped out about, right? Everybody experiences this. And it's not that they're trying to spy into your life and, they knew I did this terrible thing and I did that. Yeah, well, you don't know what terrible things and what other things they've done. And they have a more holistic understanding of things, right? and this is a hard concept to kind of even wrap your head around. This is my belief system. If it's not yours, that's fine. But like, everything is one, right? So what people would traditionally call like God, I don't believe that's separate from us. Everybody is a piece of God, if you want to say. And then once you pass on, that piece goes back to the collective. And so everybody within this collective, within this, what I would call one, right? Spirit, the universe, I guess you could call it. When those spirits go back to that, they have a full understanding, right? They can see everybody's perspective because they sort of have lived that experience. It's like if you have memories, right? But you don't really truly know if those memories are correct. Now, of course, you believe they are correct. You live through them. But if someone were to just implant, memories of a different childhood within your mind and erase your childhood memories, you would then have a full understanding of what it's like to grow up in their childhood. And so once you go back sort of to the collective, to the one, to the whole, to the universe, to God, you have that whole collective experience because we're one, right? So it's like sending out, I sent out my hand over here and it had experiences, and then it came back and it shot those memories, those experiences into my brain. And now my brain knows everything my hand did while it was gone. I don't know if this is a good way of explaining it or if I'm just confusing everybody. And again, you do you have your own belief system. As I always tell my children, nobody knows until you die. So everybody's allowed to believe whatever they want as long as they're not hurting other people. So at any rate, what I'm trying to say is don't be scared about, oh my gosh, they saw me do this. They know I did that bad thing. They know I had these bad thoughts, right? Everybody has that going on with them. And spirits know what's in your heart, right? Spirits know if your heart is pure or if your heart is just hardened and you're like a narcissist, horrible person. But at any rate, spirit is always watching over you. And why? And to get to the point, what spirit is saying here is that you're just the veil's thinning. And when it's like the veil's thinning, it really is like you're awakening, you're opening up, you're allowing yourself to see it, right? It's almost as if, when we're not so much born, but as we grow up, we start putting on these blinders and we can't see. We're told it's fake. We're told, whatever, we're in the material world, we're dealing with material things. And so you kind of start closing yourself off to that. And as you start opening yourself up to that, you start seeing energy, basically. Energy around you that you couldn't already see. And you can think of it as infrared, right? So infrared, we cannot see that with our naked eye. So we are blinded to the infrared signatures that are all around us that could help us see things better, right? Someone's over there hiding, but if I had the infrared, I would see the heat signature. So I would be able to see them. So we're actually being blocked off from other things that we could sense, right? We don't have those senses. So that's like our blinders are on. Now we put on infrared goggles or we have a camera, all of a sudden we're taking the blinders off and we're seeing things. We're seeing the infrared. We're seeing the heat signatures. So what's happening is as you become more and more open to this, more and more less afraid, I would say, definitely for me, it was about fear, right? And as I became less and less afraid, and that did not come from me, I became less and less afraid because I started having children that had these same experiences. And I was like, oh, I got to deal with this, right? So I became mama bear. That's how my fear disappeared. It was like, no, I got to start dealing with this. I got to start understanding this because I got to be able to help my kids through this. And so as that fear disappears and you allow yourself to open up, you allow yourself to see, you allow yourself to, even just when you see that shadow or you sense something or you hear something, to be like, oh, okay, whereas you would have like, oh, that was nothing, that was a trick of the mind, blah, blah, blah. As you start being like, no, I'm paying attention to it. What was I thinking at the time? Or just paying attention to it. Well, now I paid attention to it. So now spirit knows you're paying attention. So then you start getting more and more experiences, you open up more and more and more, you start trusting it more and more, and you start understanding it more and more and more. So what I'm trying to tell you is that you are in this moment of where you're sort of sensing them. So you feel like you're being watched because you're sensing that spirit. You're sensing something's there. Maybe you're not seeing anything. Maybe you're not hearing anything. Maybe you are and you're just not interpreting it as such. And I can kind of tell you an experience of mine more recently where all of a sudden I had this where I was just like, second marriage. There's a second marriage coming to this person. I can just see it where, it was a coworker and we're in the office and we're talking and second marriage. And at first I was like, oh, did I have a dream about that last night? Like, was that a dream? And so that was kind of how I must have had a dream, right? I'm just remembering this dream. And then I was like, no, that wasn't a dream. That's like a knowing coming to me. But if I had just tossed it aside and been like, no, it's just a dream, right? Which I'm sure everybody's doing, or not everybody, but a lot of us are doing, most of us are doing, we're just like, oh no, that came from somewhere else, that came from me just, wanting it or thinking it or whatever. But as you start trusting more and more and more, then you start realizing all these little signs and things that are happening. So as you start opening up and trusting and losing that fear of what's around you, you'll start sensing it more and more and more. So I would say that this is the beginning of you opening up, awakening. I don't so much like that awakening term because it's almost like, oh, these people are all asleep over here and they don't know what's going on. But it is like opening your eyes and understanding and seeing truly what's all around you, because we have a very limited perspective of what's happening. And so if you do feel like you're being watched, just say, oh, hi. Thanks for visiting me. Thanks for whatever. Thanks for looking out for me, or, like that, just whatever you want to say. And maybe try and sense, do I think that? And instantaneous, what do you think? Do I think that's my grandma? Do I think that's my mom? Do I think that's my brother? Do I think that's my best friend? But what instantaneously, not what you want, what instantaneously comes to me. So, oh, I feel like I'm being watched. And I immediately think of Grandpa. If you immediately think of Grandpa, that's who it was, right? That's what came to you. And so just start playing with it a little bit. You have this feeling, maybe it is creeping you out a little bit. You can even say, hey, creeping me out a little bit. Maybe just try and back off a little bit. Maybe come back at another time. I know I was very much being bombarded as I was trying to fall asleep at night. I would hear spirits yelling my name, saying, Jackie, hey, hi. And I was literally being sort of like jolted awake by not that I was asleep. It was sort of in that in-between where I was just kind of falling asleep, and constantly every night I just hear people talking to me, yelling at me, trying to get my attention. And finally one day I was like, no, we can't do this. When I'm going to bed, when I'm going to sleep, I will not allow spirits to contact me, because I need to fall asleep. I can't keep sort of being woken up or Joel, I'm coming down into the sleep mode, and now you're bringing me back up into the wake mode, and I can't keep doing that because I need my sleep and I need to go to bed. So that was a boundary I set. We are not going to come to me when I am trying to go to sleep, because I need my sleep so I'm well rested for the next day. So if you feel like every time I go to put my child to bed, well, that spirit is trying to look over your child. But maybe you say, while I'm putting my child to bed, can you just please back off a little bit, and then once they're down and settled, I appreciate you watching over them. Those sort of things. And you and just kind of see, set your boundaries, set what you want. Don't tell them to go away, right? But you can say, I don't want any negative energy here, right? So you can say, if you're negative energy, you stay away. If you're positive, in the light spirits, you walk within the light. I would say walk within love. If you walk within light, walk within love, then you are welcome to be around, and you can start protecting yourself and your home that way, right? No negative energy is allowed in here. We're only going to allow in the positive light, the positive spirits, the love. That's what we are allowing to come in, and everything else must stay out. Well, I hope this message helped you today. 1919 was just on my clock, just as I was looking over to think about stopping it. So if 1919 is significant to you, I know the number 19 is actually very significant to me. One of my children was born on the 19th. But I'm sending you all, everybody, even if 1919 is not significant to you. Remember, 1 is the beginning of a cycle, 9 is the end of a cycle. But I am definitely sending you peace, love, and happiness. Bye for now.